الآن يمكنكم المشاركة في مبادرة الأيام الرقمية تحت شعار انطلق بقوة مع جوجل، والتي يتناول فيها خبراء جوجل عناوين جديدة أسبوعيا مثل السحابيات، مهارات من جوجل، أندرويد، فلتر، ذكاء الآلة، فايربيس، ديزاين ثينكينج، مقسمة إلى دورات وورشات عمل يومية بالإضافة إلى مسابقات أسبوعية. شاهد الأيام الرقمية مباشرة على اليوتيوب وشارك رأيك وأسئلتك مع خبراء جوجل، واحصل على شهادة حضور في كل محاضرة تشترك فيها. هذا وأكثر من الأحد إلى الخميس ابتداء من الساعة 9 بتوقيت دبي عبر الرابط المبين youtube.com/GDG-MENA.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Google MENA Digital Days. My name is Sachin, a Google developer expert. And in today's episode, we will learn how to build advanced, complicated, and intelligent chatbots using Dialogflow. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell icon so that you can be notified for future videos. So for people who are joining us for the very first time, you can go to the Google GDG MENA channel and make sure that you hit that subscribe button. And for everyone who's joining us live today, you have an opportunity to get the Attendant Certificate as well. So go to this specific link that is shown in this specific screen and make sure to follow the instructions. And everything would be provided in the comments and the chat section as well. So we have moderators today who is actually managing the chat or the live chat. So make sure to leave your questions, queries, and comments in the live chat. So just a brief introduction about myself. I've been in the channel for quite a number of times. But again, for people who's getting to know me for the very first time, my name is Sachin. I'm a Google developer expert. I'm also a CTO of a company called Tuplo Life. I'm also the Google for Startup Accelerator Mentor, head of GDG Doha. I'm also an active mentor for a lot of startups within the region, writer, blogger, and recently with the whole pandemic situation, started a YouTube channel, so I can probably say I'm a YouTuber as well. So this is my YouTube channel. Again, we will get to know this towards the end. I will share all of the links and resources in the comment section, but everything that we are gonna see here, you'll be learning a lot today, especially from what we'll be building in terms of chatbots. So my channel's name is Tech with Search. So if you're interested in AI, chatbots, machine learning, Google Assistant, AR, VR, all of that, feel free to check the channel and subscribe to that as well. Okay, so with all of that being said, the aim for today's episode is to learn how to build intelligent and sophisticated chatbots. So in that case, what's going to happen is you have to consider a lot of things to keep in mind when we are building chatbots. And we'll be covering a lot of that today. And we'll also learn how to build a chatbot once and deploy it across multiple channels through different tools and platforms. And then from there, what we'll also learn is what are the quick things, quick tools or quick features that you can use to build and deploy your chatbot very quickly. So that's also another thing that we'll be exploring today. And finally, to basically top it off, we'll have a complete session, an application running end-to-end, where we'll have basically mimic a customer care center. So we'll have a user, we'll have a customer, human operator, and we'll have a chatbot, all the three working together in tandem, along with other services and machine learning APIs built on top of it. So we have a lot to cover today. So once again, if you're new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So speaking of chatbots, I'm sure that everyone who's currently seeing this specific episode would have interacted with the chatbot in one way or the other. Let's say when you're booking tickets or when you're in a specific website, you will suddenly see a small pop-up at the very bottom of the screen. It says like, how can I help? And even if you're chatting with it, immediately it will say, okay, can I have your name? Can I have your email address? All of those kind of stuff. So those are typically chatbots gathering leads for the company. So in that way, they can basically have a bot 24/7 monitoring your websites, your leads, and you can gather that information and then reach back to the user. So that's typically what chatbots are currently used. And again, there's a lot of use cases for chatbots. So speaking of how to build chatbots or how to build a conversational chatbot, the first thing that we'll be covering today is Dialogflow. So what is Dialogflow? Dialogflow is a platform that makes it incredibly straightforward to build conversational experiences. So for people who've never built a chatbot, when you actually think about, okay, how's it gonna work? What are the different elements that we need to keep in mind to build a chatbot? How's the AI gonna work? Do I have to build my own AI and machine learning models? And what are the different components that's involved? How do I connect to my backend? All of you'll basically have a lot of questions, and I can quickly tell you that Dialogflow is one of the most simplest and most powerful tool to get you started building chatbots. And we'll get to see some of that right now. And what does it actually take? Do you need to actually be a hardcore developer to start building this? Not really. I mean, we can actually see today, we can actually build chatbots just within a span of 5-10 minutes. And it's as easy as that. So a simple example of what a conversational chatbot can be like. So for example, instead of the traditional just responding to certain keywords, if somebody says, well, it's kind of, just imagine that we are having a conversation, and this specific conversation is, the user says, it's kind of cold outside, so I'd like something to warm me up, like a hot soup, and I want it fast. So he's basically like trying to communicate with a bot here, and he's saying that, it's kind of cold outside, I'd like something to warm me up, and like a hot soup, and I want it fast. So the bot could be a bot which actually gives him recommendations of recipes, or probably it could be an food ordering platform. So in that case, what you can do is you can actually design this entire bot using Dialogflow. And if you're thinking about trying to build this on your own, just with this specific statement, think about all the complex regular expressions that you might have to handle. Because in this case, just with this sentence alone, you have cold, warm, hot, and fast. All of these keywords meaning completely different things based on what the user is saying. So when he's saying cold outside, he's not talking about the food. He's basically talking about the weather. And something to warm me up, again, he's not talking about the food. So the context is completely different. So we need a very powerful platform or tool to basically understand what the users are saying. So that is where Dialogflow comes into play. So as I mentioned, Dialogflow is a platform where it makes it incredibly straightforward to build conversational chatbots. So one of the places is, when it comes to Dialogflow, the two key important factors that you need to keep in mind is intent matching and entity extractions. So what is an intent matching? What is entity extractions? It's very straightforward. Think about intent matching to be whenever you say, okay, I want to order a pizza. Okay, so you're ordering a food or ordering pizza. So what is the intent of the user here? Order food. So order food or order pizza could be one of the intents. Okay, and what is entity extraction? Let's say entity is basically identifying keywords that you need to extract from the user. So what could that be like? So, and one of the examples could be, I would like to order a pizza, and it could be like with, jalapenos, or cheese, extra cheese, and all of those specific recipes, recommendations that you'd like to say. So in that case, chicken pizza with extra cheese could be these entities. So you're gathering that key information from the conversation, and the intent of that specific conversation would be order food intent. So how Dialogflow basically works is whenever you're having a conversation or the user is having a conversation, it will go through the conversation and it will try to match the intent that is created within your application. So in this case, within your agent. So when you create a Dialogflow agent, you will then go ahead and create your own intents. So you might have an intent called ordering food, and you might have entities which would extract that key information like extra cheese, chicken, and so on. So that's basically what intent matching and entity extraction is. Again, feel free to ask your questions and queries in the comment section. We have moderators who are moderating this entire live chat. Okay, and speaking of designing the conversations, you don't have to be a hardcore coder to actually start building all of this. So one of the most simplest ways is, if you look at this one, here is a recipe recommendation. So this is an intent, okay, which is created. And most of this is being done, the way how you basically train or build your chatbot is not by coding, but rather training your agent to understand the user. So in this case, what you typically would have to do is to go and type in few phrases that your users might say to your bot. In this case, you can see that chicken sounds good to me. I like cold dessert and I want it right now. So everything that's kind of highlighted, those are entities that you want to extract from your bot. And why do we need to extract those keywords? Because we need to extract those keywords to basically understand what the user is requesting, right? So you might have your own backend, you might have your own backend infrastructure database where you might want to send this data, get the information, put it in, and then process it, and then send the response back to the user. So building in Dialogflow is very easy, as I've showed you. We'll be doing a lot of demos today to basically demonstrate some of these. One of the most important things in this specific slide, which I felt that I should probably put it out today, is the fact that these are some of the features of Dialogflow. And what I've put over here is very minimal features, but we have a lot going on in terms of what Dialogflow can offer. Okay, so let's actually see what are some of the features, and we will also go in and try and build some of these together. Okay, so if you want to follow along, once we start the demo, you can completely go ahead and follow that. So that's how you can actually make sure that this is going. So I can see that is the stream frozen or anyone else? Let me just check. Okay. So I think my camera is frozen for some reason. Let me make sure that it's fixed. And I think I'm back again. So thanks a lot. Thanks, guys, for actually pointing that out. So I hope you guys can see my screen, and also my slides are reflected as well. So yes, so when it comes to Dialogflow, the most important thing is some of the features and why these features mean a lot when you're building complicated chatbots. So one of the things over here is, as you can see, multilingual support. So you're building a chatbot, you're not just gonna have your customer base in one specific country. You might have it spread across the entire world. So as much as possible, try and see what are the supported languages that Dialogflow offers, and then you can, just with the same flow, you can build for multiple languages. And I'll show you how it is done during today's session. We also have analytics. So not only just building about the bot, you'll also learn insights on how your users are interacting with your bot, right? And how engaged they are. So those are some of the things that you can learn from through analytics. Omnichannel integration, which is very important, because what you want is, right now in the current market scenario, you don't want your chatbot just to be sitting in your website. You want it across different mediums. So it could be like you might have your chatbot in, let's say, Facebook. You want it in your WhatsApp. You want it in Slack. You want it in Line, Telegram. You have multiple options where your user base might be, and as much as possible, you would want to have your bot integrated, reaching your customers there as well. So traditionally, what would happen if you have to go through those platforms, you'll have to follow their developer guidelines and try to build your own ecosystem and integrate with them. But with Dialogflow, you can build once, and you'll have the capability to integrate quickly with all of those platforms. Again, the instructions are provided. And again, for people who want to go through all of that, everything is covered. I will provide you the resources towards the end. Everything step by step can be followed, and you guys can basically build amazing chatbots by following that. You have a simulator. So without actually building the entire thing, how do you actually test? Dialogflow provides you with a simulator. You can actually go ahead and test it directly, whether your specific intent is working, whether your training phrases are accurate. And the most important thing is the advanced AI capabilities. So you get to take advantage of the best of machine learning models developed by Google. And along with that, you have visual flow builders. You have support up to 10 sub-agents with as many as 20,000 intents. So these are some of the things that I want to highlight, because when you're building a chatbot, you need to keep all of this in mind. So speech recognition, cutting-edge speech recognition and synthesis models, pre-built agents. So most of the time, you might be thinking, oh, I have a specific use case, but I have to start building this from scratch. You don't have to do that. With pre-built agents, if there is any use case that's already covered in the pre-built agents, you can quickly build a chatbot with a pre-built agent and then build additional features on top of it. So that's some of the capabilities of Dialogflow. And versioning and environment support, different environment support, all of that can be done as well. So one of the things that we'll do today is, towards the end, we will go through all of this. We will be looking to build a chatbot, and our chatbot will basically talk to our user through the Dialogflow API, and all of that is being managed through Google Cloud. And from Google Cloud, you can have your own database or within Google Cloud. And finally, all the conversations can go between the user and the customer agent, support agent, or the human operator, and both of them can. But there might be cases where your bot cannot handle all the queries, and that time you want to switch to the user directly to a human operator. In that case, I have a project that you guys can check it out as well. I'll show you the demo of that towards the end of this session. So these are basically what we'll be trying to do. I'll also show you how we can integrate machine learning APIs to better understand the user. So that's also another important element to this. So let's actually go back to this slide. And this is where I want to focus on in the beginning sessions. So I can show you all of these features right now. And once we cover all of the features, let's actually build a complete application and take it from there. Okay. So for everyone who's joining us for the first time, the first thing that you can go is go to dialogflow.com. That's the easiest way for you to get there. I'll make sure the screen is a little more big so that you guys can see it clearly. So over here, what you can see is it will directly take you to cloud.google.com/Dialogflow. And another thing to keep in mind is Dialogflow has different flavors. So one is the CX, more towards very complex agents, and ES is basically essentials, where if you're trying to build standard type agents, you can basically build with that. I'm not gonna dwell deep with Dialogflow CX. We'll be covering Dialogflow Essentials, which is more than powerful to build most of these applications today. Okay, great. So with that being said, what you can do is go to Dialogflow ES. Okay, and once that is done, what I would suggest is click on the go to Dialogflow ES console. So this would open up your Dialogflow platform. So if you're doing this for the very first time, you would see a different screen which says like create your first agent. In this case, I've already created some agents over here, so it's taking me to the last agent. So what you could do is to try out all of the things that we are doing today. I'm just gonna go ahead and create a new agent. And I'm gonna call it MENA Digital Days Chatbot. Okay. So this is a specific chatbot. I'm giving a name for this specific chatbot agent, okay, or Dialogflow agent to be accurate. I can choose my default language, so I'm gonna keep it English. And this is where you can also see all the supported languages that Dialogflow supports at this point of time. Yeah, at the point of this recording, these are all the supported languages that Dialogflow provides. You can also choose the default time zone based on where your users are. And by default, you can also choose the Google project. So if you leave this empty, what this would do is this would create a new Google project behind the scenes, right? So Google Cloud project will be created. And you can just keep all of these as the default and go ahead and click on create. Okay, so now that we have created this chatbot agent, let's see what happens. Great, so we have this entire bot working. Let me know if you're able to see the screens clearly. If not, I can bump it up. Great. Now, once we've created a new agent, I'm not going to do anything. We're not going to click on any of these. What we're going to do right now is we will go ahead and try out the simulator. So the one that you're seeing on the right-hand side is the simulator. So I'm just going to say, hi. And immediately you would see that you're getting back a response. So greetings, how can I assist? So great. Our chatbot is actually working, but how? Where are we getting this response from? We didn't even create anything. We didn't even define anything. So where is this coming from? So by default, and that's one of the great things about Dialogflow is by default, when you're creating an agent, it sets up with two intents. So you remember the slide where we were talking about what is an intent, what is entity. So these are basically intents and entities. So the default intent in Dialogflow is the default welcome intent. And if you closely monitor the simulator over here, and keep in mind that these might be a essential for you when you're building chatbot is the simulator on the right hand side gives you a lot of information which is going to be helpful when you're building out chatbots. Why? Because this is what you said and the response came from here. And where did this come from? You can see that the default intent that was matched based on what I said was the default welcome intent. Okay, and the action was input.welcome. We have sentiment score. All of that we'll cover later. But here, let's go into the default welcome intent and see what is over there. Where have we designed this response? So click on the default welcome intent, and immediately you will see that we have context, events. So we have created an event called welcome, the default welcome. So I'll get to this point why this is important. And you don't have to do anything. This is already defined. Now, under the training phases, what's happening over here is by default, Dialogflow has created this for you, right? And what this basically means is anytime that the user greets your agent or says anything like hello, hi in your chatbot, it will automatically send the default response as one of these. So you can add more than one specific text response, and then all of that would be automatically being handled in the bot. So in randomly, you'll see one of these would be over here. So let's go ahead and say hello. And you can see greetings, how can I assist is added over here. And let's also see all the specific responses. So we have the default intent, welcome intent. So this is what it is. The response is greetings, how can I assist? It's coming from here under the response section. There is an action that is defined, input.welcome, that is also defined over here, right? So, and these are the training phases. So the reason why I want you guys to understand this, the different values that you're getting here is because it's key when you're actually working with APIs, right? Today, we'll also see how to use the Dialogflow API rather than trying out in a simulator or the web integration. You might have your own mobile application, or you might have your own chatbot. So all of that can be automatically handled. So let me zoom in a bit more. Let me know if you guys are able to see the screen clearly. So this is what basically the bot would, the Dialogflow simulator would look like, right? So I hope you guys understood what the simulator does, what each of these mean, right? So which is the default welcome intent. And you would also see there's another intent, which is fallback intent. So what is the default fallback intent? The default fallback intent is triggered when a user's input is not matched by any of the intents that you have designed in your agent. So what does that basically mean? So let's say right now a chatbot can basically understand only your welcome intent, which is basically whenever the user says hi or hello or any type of greetings, it will understand or match with the default welcome intent. What happens when you don't, the user says something completely out of context that your bot cannot understand? So all of that would go into the default fallback intent. So let's try that out, and you'll understand how that works. So in this case, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to say default. No, I'm just going to say for a pizza. So we have never designed or trained our agent to understand this conversation. And if I type this, it will basically say, I didn't get that. Can you say it again? So where is this coming from? This is actually coming from our, let's go and see the important things over here. Intent is default, fallback intent. So you can see that This is something that the bot cannot understand, so it has defaulted back to the default fallback intent. Okay. And let's also go into the default fallback intent to understand what it means. So the default fallback intent, you can see anything that the bot doesn't understand, it will automatically fall back to this intent, and the responses of this will be over here. So randomly it will give you a response from this responses that you have added. So one of the other key elements to keep in mind is when you're designing conversational chatbots or conversational applications, always try to keep your responses in such a way that it will guide the user to a specific action. So in this case, we haven't designed our chatbot to be a production-ready application. But in this case, if you see this, I didn't get that, can you say it again? Okay, it makes sense. But you can also guide the user to say that, I didn't get that, or ordering a pizza is something that I cannot do right now, but I can do X, Y, and Z. So these are the things that I can help you with. So you can come here and modify some of these text responses to basically handle that. Okay. So that is one of the basic features of intent matching, right? So I hope now you guys understood what is intent matching. Any conversation that you're having with Dialogflow, by default, if you're using Dialogflow Essentials, it will do the intent matching. It will, okay, understand that, okay, if I say hi, if the user said hi, is there an intent that is designed to handle that? The default welcome intent has some training phrases which is similar to that. So that means it is, I should hand it over to the default welcome intent. And over there, what else is there? The response. So I send back the response in that specific manner. So that is basically intents. Entities are where you want to extract key information from the user. So an example can be an appointment scheduler, right? You might have an intent which basically says, set up an appointment tomorrow for dental service at 3 p.m. So you have key information over there. Dental service, appointment, and 3 p.m. So those can be entities where you can extract that. So you can create your own entities here. And system entities are, let's say, you have like 3 p.m. is a time. So those can be system entities. So a lot of that is again explained. I'll give you the resources to actually go and do step-by-step tutorials based on that. But the aim of this specific episode is for you to understand all the capabilities of Dialogflow, so that towards the end of today's session and by following all the tutorials, you'll have a clear idea of how to integrate all of those learnings and build your own chatbot from scratch. Okay, great. So let's also look at some of the other options over here. So we have knowledge base, fulfillment, integrations. So let me go back to my slide and let's look at some of the examples here. So multilingual support, engage with your users or customer base, right? So where is this specific option? And imagine right now, just in this screen, you have that option to do that. So all you have to do over here is, once you've designed your basic chatbot, you can come here and click on this icon, the plus. It will basically take you to the languages, and you can add additional languages over here, like Spanish, right? And you can, English is the default language over here, and you want to add more languages, you can go ahead and add it over here, right? So you have all of these options, and for the purpose of this specific tutorial, I'm just going to show you one or two, but I will also show you what basically it means, how you can handle or design for multilingual chatbots. So just by looking at this, it's understood. So let's go back to English. So when you go to, let's go ahead and save it. Okay. So by default, you have English. And if if you click on intents, you'll see that everything that you see over here is all in English. And if you want in Spanish, all you have to do is click on ES for Spanish, and everything that you do over here will be based on Spanish. So let's say you want to add your own training phrases over here. You can add it in Spanish, and the responses can also be in Spanish. So let's see if the simulator can handle that. There you go. Right? So you can create your own intents over here. So you can go ahead and create like an intent which basically says order food, and then add training phrases. It says like, order a pizza, or order chicken pizza or something like that. You can add training phrases what your users would say, and then you can add the specific responses. So now that it's Spanish, you can add your training phrases in Spanish, and you can also add the responses in Spanish as well. And once you're done handling it in Spanish, you can fall back to the English version, and you can create the intent and all of those things in English. So that's how easy it is to actually support multiple languages. Okay, so I hope everyone understands that specific concept. So, okay, so that's multilingual support. The next thing, analytics. Yeah, we can go through that later. Omnichannel integration. Build once, deploy across your contact center and digital channels. So this is a huge thing. Why? Because when you're talking about integrations, if within Dialogflow, let's assume that you've gone ahead and created a lot of these intents. And again, I don't want to build everything from scratch over here right now because I want to cover other topics. But everything for you guys to get started, if you have absolutely zero knowledge of it, I have the resources for that, and the links will be provided towards the end of the session. So stay tuned for that. So if you come to integrations, you can see all the different integrations that the Dialogflow offers, right? Even including phone gateway. So if you're using like telephony, or if you have other contact center applications that you're already using, you can use these partners. You can quickly integrate with them. Dialogflow provides Dialogflow phone gateway, which is again in beta right now. But these are some powerful integrations that you can quickly convert your bot into different platforms, right? So we have telephony, text-based, which is web demo. So let's actually look at some of these examples, right? So click on web demo and enable this. So let's assume that you've already built your entire chatbot, right? And after building the entire chatbot, you've come here and you say that all you have to do is enable the web demo, copy this, paste it into your website, and you're good to go. So what that would typically look like is you can come click here, and you can see this is what it would look like when you integrate this into your website, right? So you'll have your own personal website or company website. Just drop this iframe and you're good to go. Okay, so let's see this. We can see that, hello, how can I help? So all of that is automatically handled. So this is what is coming from our welcome intent, right? So that's how easy it is to actually build our chatbot. Now, that is one of the options. You have Messenger. Have you guys actually seen, like, you have like, if you want to have your own messenger at the bottom of the screen, you can also do that. So here's an example of that. Dialogflow Messenger basically allows you to have rich UI interactions for your users. Okay. So again, what you need to do is add this script into your website and you're good to go. But you want to see how it looks like? A simple example will be try it now. So when you do try it now, can you see this? This is what your bot would look like. So whenever you have your own website, and once you drop this code into that, it will look like this when you're dealing with Dialogflow. And how is this working behind the scenes? I will come down to that as well. But when you click on this, and if you say hi, it will still say, how are you doing? Because it's the welcome intent. So your bot is actually working over here. But you'll also see that we had like, hello, how can I help you, automatically show up when you move your mouse over there, or when you started the application for the very first time. So that is possible because in your welcome intent, if you remember, we had something called as events, right? So by defining this welcome, this thing, you don't have to wait for the users to say hi to send back this response, right? So whenever in your application with the Dialogflow Messenger, you can see that it understood there was an event called welcome. So let me automatically give a response back to the user. Okay. So these are some of the tools. And again, for everyone who's actually going through this, we have web demo integration. I showed you that we have Dialogflow Messenger, a messenger from Facebook. Even WhatsApp integration is there. You wouldn't see this over here, but I have a tutorial where it will actually show you how you can build your own WhatsApp chatbot using Dialogflow by integrating it with Twilio. If you want to have a bot in the form of SMS, just texting, that's also possible. So you can see all the different options, Slack, Telegram, Line, all of this is covered by my tutorials. You can follow that. So now that you have a pretty good idea about why Dialogflow is very powerful, is just because one of the features of integrations. You basically design your bot once and you can have it across all of these different channels, right? Okay. Now, since that is done, let's take it a bit further, right? Let's say that you have an existing website, you're a startup, or you have a company, or you have your own personal website, and you want to build a chatbot based on that. You can quickly build it. And you might be thinking, how do I come and build? Do I have to build this from scratch step by step? You don't have to actually do that. So one of the best tools or features that I've seen within Dialogflow is the knowledge base and connectors. So let's actually see that working. So if you come here, you'll see that it is a beta feature. So we need to enable it. How can we enable it? It's simple. You go to click on the gear icon, and within the gear icon, we can see that we have something called as beta features. Enable it. And go ahead and save this. And again, the gear icon over here basically is everything to do with your settings. So you can define what your bot would look like, all of that. Even over here, if you want to give a specific name or UI, so for example, define URI to your agent avatar. You want to have your own avatar when you're dealing with web demo, you can have that over here. So it will show up on the chatbot as well. Okay, and you can describe what your agent does. Language support, we've already seen. ML settings, again, you can leave it by default, but if you'd like to handle some of these, you can automatically enable these and play around with it. Other thing that you can also do is, once you build a bot over here, you have another project and you like to integrate some of these features into that, you can export this entire agent and you can restore it or import it into another agent or project. So that's one of the other cool features of Dialogflow. We have different environments. You can see right now it's the draft environment, but you can publish different versions so that you can test it around. Speech is another important thing. So you can play around with some of these options. when you're dealing with speech. Okay, and if you have more than one person who's working with you on this bot, you can share it as well. So some of the other advanced capabilities is sentiment analysis. So what is sentiment analysis? Again, it will, based on what your user is typing, it will understand what is the sentiment of the user, whether it's negative or positive. And based on that, you can do certain actions behind the scenes. So I'll show you a demo of that immediately after we cover some of these options over here. Okay, great. Now, with all of that being covered, what we can do right now is try out the knowledge base. So again, to enable it, make sure the beta features is enabled. So at this time of recording, the knowledge base is basically this. So click on knowledge base, make sure I save that. Go to knowledge. Okay, so what if I tell you that we can actually create a chatbot right now with just a few clicks? Okay, and why not? Okay, let's do this. Let's create a chatbot based on COVID-19. We've all been affected by it. Imagine that you want to quickly provide some information to all of your employees or all of your users about COVID. I'm just giving you this as an example. So what this also means is you can use your existing content that you have on your websites. Like an example of that would be FAQs, right? Frequently asked questions that you have it on your website. Make sure that that FAQ follows proper schema markups, FAQ schema markups. As long as your website follows that, Dialogflow would be able to extract that information from that. So let's see an example of that. So I'm going to create a knowledge base. And before that, I'm just going to put okay. So this is from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So we have a simple page, FAQ, as you can see here. And with this link, everything to do with COVID-19 is answered here. So what we would like to do is we don't want to go ahead and again create specific intents for prevention, for spread, for basics like that. We don't want to go and create intents in Dialogflow from scratch, right? Because all of these you might have already had on your website. So this is just an example that I'm showing you. So what we can do is I can just copy this URL, come back to Dialogflow, and I'm going to create a knowledge base. So what is this knowledge base going to do? I'm just going to click here and say Dialogflow, or let's say COVID-19 FAQ. Okay, save this. So we are not going to do any programming in this. You can see that we've created a knowledge base. So create the first one. We have to create a document name. So I'm just going to give it COVID-19 FAQ. What is the knowledge type? It's FAQ, right? So you have FAQ and extractive question answering. So in this case, I'm going to choose FAQ. What is the type? You can provide a CSV or HTML. I'm going to choose HTML because I have the link readily available. What is the data source? So if you're using Google Cloud Project and you have this information directly in your cloud storage or a CSV file, you can directly refer to that. In this case, since we have a URL, you're just going to provide that faq.html file or that link which has an FAQ. Okay, and enable automatic reload. So what does this mean? Automatic reload again means this is whenever you update your content on your website, it will automatically reload the contents over here. Dialogflow will automatically pass the information and get all the latest thing. So this is an excellent way for you to actually build a chatbot which can answer most of the frequently asked questions that the user might have. Okay, So go ahead and click on create. So this is as simple as possible when it comes to building an FAQ-based chatbot. Again, leave your questions and queries in the comment section. We have moderators to basically help you with any kind of contents or questions, so feel free to ask them. Okay, so while this is happening, what's happening behind the scenes is we've basically created a document. So you can see that a document has been created. This is the source that we've given. The only other thing that you need to do before we save this is add a response. So just click response and just leave this as it is. What this basically means is it's gonna pick the first answer from that and then keep it as it is. So that's all we have to do. Click on save. And with just these options, we have right now technically created a chatbot that can understand COVID-related questions. So let's try this. Let's go to integrations. And keep in mind, it does take a bit of time for it to reflect and have all of this information, okay? So as an example, I'm gonna enable the draft Dialogflow Messenger. So let's try this out over here. How does the virus spread? And you can immediately see that it's able to quickly grow and gather all that information directly from the source, which is this URL, right? And this could be your own website, right? You're basically extracting the information from here and having it in the form of a bot. So with just probably less than 5 minutes, we've created a chatbot that can answer all the questions about COVID-19, right? So you can see over here, right? Or anything to do with this. So what is COVID-19? You can even ask that. So let's try this out in our web demo. So imagine if this is there. Or let's just say, how does the virus, as I said, it does take a bit of time to understand. There you go. Okay, so the other thing about the web integration is to keep in mind is you can also use the mic to answer some of your questions, okay? So you can see that you can use the mic to basically get the information as well. So the users don't have to chat. They can also use the voice capabilities. So that voice capability is available only on the Dialogflow web demo. On the Dialogflow Messenger, you would see it's purely text-based, but you can also have rich responses in the Messenger. So with that being said, now you understand how you can actually build more complex chatbots just by using some of the features over here, like knowledge base, which will actually speed up a lot of time, get the information, and then even if you're accessing the chatbot from any of these, it would behave the same. Okay, that's great. But keep a note of it, it's still in beta, but again, once it is generally available, you should have it working perfectly. Okay, now that we have understood integrations, fulfillment is something where you would actually connect with your own backend. You would extract all of this information, and I'll show you a demo of it today and how you can work behind the scenes. So this is everything to do with connecting to your backend. So you can use webhook and give it a URL, or you can use the inline editor and have all of the logic written directly over here. The last thing that I want to cover or the second last thing that I would like to cover is pre-built agents. So how can you build chatbots that is somewhat similar to quickly? You can come here, check on the pre-built agents, and then let's say if you have anything, you're building a bot for banking related, and you can actually use this one to have some of these training phases or intents automatically created. So this would give you a stepping block of foundation to actually start building your bot. Let's say anything to do with a coffee shop. So whenever I like a coffee to go, can I get a small iced latte with low fat milk? Everything to do with this, you can automatically get this specific experience for the user. So these are some of the things that this specific pre-built agent automatically handles. So you don't have to go ahead and create all of that. So the main benefit of pre-built agents is, depending on all these use cases that you see here, you don't actually have to start right from the beginning, right from scratch. You can actually import some of these pre-built agents and have this information automatically allowed. Now, a simple example of that is an agent, pre-built agent called Small Talk. Here you can also see we have something for restaurant booking. So book a table for 2 people at so-and-so place at 7 people. And all of this is automatically handled. So how does it work? All you have to do is go ahead and click import, and it will automatically create the necessary intents and entities for this. Another simple example is the small talk. So what is small talk? Small talk topics to help make your bot more personable. So this is a pre-built agent. You can come here, you can see this. And once you enable this, keep in mind that the small talk agent is not accessible for some of the integrations, but anything to do with any kind of small talks, it will basically understand and handle it. Imagine that we had over here, we had some conversations where it didn't understand. So in this case, anything to do with emotions, goodbye, hello, all of those things, it will automatically handle. And if you want to go ahead and change some of these, you can click on it and say, whenever you say, who are you? You can type in an answer over here, and then it will automatically answer it. So who are you? I can say, something like this. And every time you ask that, it will basically say this. Okay, so let's actually try this out. And make sure you save this. Once you saved it within your bot, if you come here, hello. So this is gonna be a welcome intent, right? And I can say, let's imagine we are doing how does the virus spread again. So this is gonna extract the information from the knowledge base. Perfect, we got all the response. And the user finally feels that it's awesome. So thank you. You can see that it's immediately able to answer some small talks, right? Like, it's my pleasure to help. So let me make this a bit more bigger so that you guys can actually see this. And I can also say, you are so cool. Thanks, I try. So it has a bit of a personality. So your users can basically chat with it rather than the main intent or the main specification of what your chatbot can do. So the user would still, have a much more personalized experience when they're dealing with the chatbot. So those are pre-built agents. Now we covered a lot, right? So coming back, we saw the simulator. We've seen speech recognition, pre-built agents, environments, all of those things, right? Now, the next thing that I would like to show is how we can take this a bit further by using an actual application where your users will be interacting with the bot. So that's going to be your Dialogflow agent. And then you'll have your own backend infrastructure. But at the same time, you will also have your customer agent monitoring all the conversations between you and your chatbot or your agent. So at any point the user is not happy, we can transfer the chat to the live agent, live human operator. Okay, so this is what is gonna happen. So again, everything to do with today's topic. If you are interested in building an entire application or entire chatbot from scratch, this is coming from my channel. You can go to Tech with Such. Again, the links and everything would be provided in the live chat and the comment section. And this is a playlist called Ultimate Chatbot Tutorial. So you can see the first episode is covering building a chatbot from scratch, creating Facebook and WhatsApp chatbot, connecting to backend, Slackbot, Telegram, Line, adding rich responses and SSML for, so how to have rich elements into your chatbot, creating your own virtual 3D assistants. So that's also covered. If you guys love Flutter and Dialogflow, you can build an application in Flutter and deploy it in both Android and iOS using Flutter and Dialogflow. You have chatbot to human handoff from scratch. So that's going to be the demo that I'm going to show you right now. And to take it a step further, we also have how you can use sentiment analysis. So this is using machine learning APIs, Google Cloud Machine Learning or Natural Language API to understand the emotion of the user, the sentiment of the user. So if the sentiment is negative, you can automatically transfer the chat to the bot, right? To the live human operator. So all of these tutorials are there. This would cover everything step by step, right? From imagine that you have a brand new Google account, you have no coding knowledge. This should help you. This tutorial series should help you build your own bots. So make sure to check that out. I think the links are provided in the chat section as well. Great. So let's actually go and look at this specific application. Again, there's another link basically for this. So if you go into GitHub, I provided the link for this, which is basically this one. So Dialogflow agent human handoff using sentiment analysis. You can go ahead and get this specific code to begin this project, and then you can come back and follow the tutorials that follow this video, the last video, or these 8 and 9 to actually understand how to build this application. But a quick note on the API part is here you can see that this is a Node.js server. I'm running this, and within this, you're creating a service account. You need to specify it. You're using Dialogflow API. So in this case, it's version 2 of the Dialogflow. And you're specifying the project ID and other things. So all of this is shown how the entire code works. Explanation is shown. And the most important thing is when it comes to the Dialogflow API is some of these. So some of these functions, what it does is send utterance to operator. So every time you're sending, the user is typing something, it will then come to send utterance to agent, right? So it will come here. What we are doing over here is calling the Dialogflow API. So this .client.detect intent. So the client is basically from Dialogflow. Detect intent is the function where we are passing in a session ID. We are saying that it's gonna be a query input. Here's the text that I'm gonna pass. The language code is English. And along with that, I'm also gonna add another additional parameter which is sentiment analysis request config, and follow saying that analyze query sentiment text is true. Okay, that's basically what it is, all right? And the send utterance to operator is everything to do with the operator is basically handled over here. And you'll get to see a lot of this directly working. So let me actually show you this demo. Hope you guys like this. Okay, so this is what would typically happen when we are building chatbots, right? So in real life scenario, you wouldn't just let the user interact with your bot alone. There will be some customer support where if at all the user says, I'm done dealing with your bot, it cannot understand what I'm trying to say. I need something apart from what your bot was designed. So that case, what will happen is this would be the scenario. So here you can see when you go to localhost 3000 port customer, and I'm going to open up another interface. So let's keep this small. So to have it side by side, I'm going to open up another here, and I'm going to say localhost customer. So we have two customers, and even before the customer, let's close this. Let's add the operator, right? So here I'm going to use localhost 3000 operator. So we have an operator over here, and I'm just going to make this as big as possible. Okay, so it's a very simple screen, nothing fancy. You can always go ahead and design your UI. But what this actually shows is the live operation of what happens behind the scenes. So I'm going to open up the customer portal. So you can /customer. Immediately you can see that it had created a customer store or a customer ID in my operator. So this is where your customer agent or support agent would be looking. So this actual person, this is your customer. The moment the customer goes to your website or chatbot, you can see using Dialogflow API, it says, hi, I'm an agent designed to demonstrate operator requests. You can ask me about my purpose. All of this is coming. So where is this coming from? Again, this is actually coming from our Dialogflow agent. So let me go back to this. So this is another project that I have created. So if you look at this project, agent human handoff. So this is the Dialogflow agent that actually handles it. So where is this welcome, the message that we got, right? This customer, where is this coming from? Let's go to the default welcome intent. So if you go to the default welcome intent, we have an intent event called welcome. So that's important. And this is the exact response that you're seeing right now. And the way this agent is designed is if you answer, if your Dialogflow doesn't understand your user's query for 2 times, it will just fall back, and then it will connect to the user's to the live human operator. So you can see there's some follow-up intents over here. All of this is again explained, but I want to show you the demo, and let's do that. Let's also pull up the operator. So as you can see, if I'm trying to chat with this user without being escalation, it won't allow me. It say cannot respond to customer until they have been escalated. So in this case, the user says something like, hello. And the way how we designed this chatbot, again, we didn't handle all of the scenarios. So anything that it doesn't understand, it will then fall back. So here, the first response it says is, I can either connect you with a customer service agent or tell you about my purpose. How can I help you? Right? Then again, I'm going to just say hello. It will still not understand because a welcome intent, if I go to the Dialogflow agent, a welcome intent is not designed to, there's no training phrases. You can see it's empty. So it won't understand hi, hello, anything, right? So let's go back to the customer, and I'm gonna just say hello again. It could be anything, it won't understand. And the purpose of this is to demonstrate that when it doesn't understand 2 times, it will automatically hand it over to the human operator. So here you can see, I'm not sure I can help you with that. I'm connecting you with the customer service agent. Hello, I'm human, how can I help? So immediately over here, you can see that the operator is requested. So from now on, you can type, the human operator and the customer can have the conversation and not the bot. Okay. So this is basically how the entire application works. So you can use this as the basis to build your own. Again, the purpose of this is to make it not make it very fancy in terms of looking. You might have your own UI, your own theme. You can plug and play based on that. But the idea is when you look at the project code, you'll understand how everything works behind the scenes. And the other cool factor that this project has done, that I've done, is over here. Let's pull up multiple customers. So I'm just gonna copy this. We're gonna have another customer, and we're gonna have another customer. So we have 3 customers right now, and all the 3 can have the conversation, and you can see you have different tabs to basically identify it, right? So one of the other things, as I mentioned, that I've done in this is sentiment analysis, right? So if you look at the last tutorial, understand your users better using sentiment analysis, is that will show you how to configure and integrate sentiment analysis to this whole thing. So I'm gonna pull up the operator and customer. So let's say, if I say, you don't have to even wait for 2 times. If the user is angry, it will automatically transfer it to your human operator. So in this case, your service is really bad. So this is a conversation that I'm saying. Immediately you can understand, you can see that it didn't say another conversation. It automatically understood that the user is not happy and immediately handed over to the human operator. So here you can type in like hello and then start the conversation. How is this happening? If you come back to the code, you can see that behind the scenes, whenever the user said a specific statement, so in this case, the statement was, like your service is really bad, all of that, your product didn't work at all, and it will automatically give a sentiment score. So you can see the sentiment score was minus 0.8. So what is sentiment score? If it is -1, it is really bad, +1 being really good. So that's basically what sentiment analysis is. So based on a really bad negative score, we can automatically handle it. So again, this is an excellent, everything is available. If there are other customers, you can see all the conversations between them as well. So you can see the customer agent can monitor everything. So with this, I hope you guys can actually build amazing chatbots. And coming back to our last slides, everything is available over here. If you're new, you can go to youtube.com/techwithsuch, which is my YouTube channel. We've almost covered a lot in this specific tutorial. And with that being said, my name is Sachin. Feel free to connect with me on Twitter and other social media platforms. All the links and resources would be provided to you in the chat section. So hope you guys enjoyed today's session, and see you all in the next one. Thank you so much.